Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Surah Mu'minun is a beautiful surah revealed before the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca. It has 118 verses, and the main theme of the surah is to remind people of their humble beginnings. It teaches us about the purpose of our creation, our final destination, and the everlasting hereafter.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد أفلح المؤمنون.
This ayah tells us that the truly successful people of this life and the next are those who had faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no time clause in this ayah, no conditions. It's straightforward. Believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring about every type of success that is worthwhile and genuine.
الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون.
The first quality Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses to describe a believer is someone who prays and has khushu'. The reason it is the first quality is because it is the most important quality. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Verily between a man and idolatry and unbelief is abandoning the prayer."
والذين هم عن اللغو معرضون.
We are constantly reminded in the Quran to avoid useless speech. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Whoever can guarantee the chastity of what is between his two jawbones and what is between his two legs, I guarantee paradise for him." The Prophet ﷺ also reminded us in another hadith that if we have nothing good to say, then we should remain silent.
والذين هم للزكاة فاعلون.
Paying zakah is an obligation and one of the 5 pillars of Islam. For many of us who are well off and aren't having a hard time, it is especially easy to fulfill this obligation. Giving zakah is a charity and it softens the heart. The Prophet ﷺ reminds us that our wealth is not decreased in any way when we give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
والذين هم لفروجهم حافظون إلا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم فإنهم غير ملومين فمن ابتغى وراء ذلك فأولئك هم العادون.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds the believing men to restrain themselves from unlawful desires. The believing men are those who adhere to the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created and do not commit acts of zina. A man is not prevented from all relationships, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala establishes in the ayah. Clearly, the relationship between a man and his wife and a man and a woman he owns is permissible. Indeed, when Allah condemns something, He provides a halal alternative. Therefore, Allah warns the believing men in the next ayah to stay away from having relations beyond marriage, as a man who commits these acts will no longer be described as a believer, but as, instead, a transgressor.
والذين هم لأماناتهم وعهدهم راعون.
The believing people are known for keeping their word. They are not among the liars nor the cheaters. The consciousness of Allah's presence and the fear of the punishment that Allah has promised the wrongdoers always presides over them. They look up to the example of the Prophet ﷺ, who was known as As-Sadiq, the truthful, and Al-Amin, the honest, and whom even the disbelievers could put their trust in.
والذين هم على صلواتهم يحافظون.
This is the second time, it's the first 10 ayahs of the surah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a prayer, which emphasizes the significance of this act of worship. A believer is not only expected to stand up and recite the surahs when they pray, but to perform their prayer properly. This means being attentive during the prayer, not rushing it, praying on time, and having sincere intention. When a person begins to perform their prayer properly, they show commitment to their deen because they are willing to take time to remember Allah and connect with Him throughout their busy day.
أولئك هم الوارثون.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects the believers to be mindful of good and evil because they will be judged based on their deeds. The judgment will then determine whether the person's life makes them worthy of punishment or reward, both of which are not a secret. The punishment is a blazing hellfire and the reward is the beautiful gardens of Jannah. In order to motivate the Muslims to act upon what has been stated in the previous ayahs, Allah mentions the rewards of Jannah that the believers will eventually receive. Allah is not expecting the believer to want to abide by the regulations of Allah only because they exist, but because there is a reward that awaits them after their lifetimes of self-restraint, worship, and truthfulness.
الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون.
Allah
وَلَقَدْ
subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions how the believers who are firm in their deen and hold on to the rope of Allah despite the struggles shall look into the future in which the ultimate reward is Jannah. True success is not confined to transitory worldly and material prosperity, but comprises of both success in this life and in the life after death in the hereafter, and is attained by sincere faith and righteous deeds.
وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ
This ayah emphasizes that it is Allah who has created us from clay, and if we are to turn back, it should be only towards our Creator, as He has already created humankind from clay, and has a decreed term for everyone's death.
ثم جعلناه نطفة في قرار مكين ثم خلقنا النطفة علقة فخلقنا العلقة مضغة فخلقنا المضغة عظاما فكسونا العظام لحما ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين.
The various stages of the creation of man have been cited to prove that Allah is all blessed, and there is no human language which can describe the praise of which He is worthy, as if to say that Allah, who is able to develop an essence of clay into perfect man, does not have any partner. Moreover, He has the power to raise him up again after his death, and is capable of working even greater wonders.